My name is McKenna Kaminski, and this presentation is about Georgia O'Keeffe, who is known to be one of the greatest female artists of the 20th century. Georgia O'Keeffe was born November 15, 1887, on a large dairy farm in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. She was born to Ida and Francis O'Keeffe and was the second of 7 children. She is said to have only been 10 years old when she decided to become an artist. By the time she graduated from high school in 1905, she already had 7 years of private art lessons. She continued studying art at the Art Institute of Chicago and the Art Student League in New York City. She stopped painting after this for 4 years because she thought her work wasn't good enough. By 1915, her love of painting brought her to start art classes again at Columbia University, and she says this was where she was taught to paint what she felt. At this time, she also made several charcoal drawings. Within a year, and without her knowledge, Georgia's friend Anita Politzer showed Georgia's drawings to an art studio owner. Because of this, 10 of her charcoal drawings were shown in the 291 gallery, and Georgia didn't even know. The art gallery owner, Alfred Stieglitz, was also a famous photographer at the time. He liked Georgia's style and artwork so much that he gave her a solo show of her watercolors in 1917. He also took a personal interest in Georgia. Within 2 years of meeting her, Stieglitz convinced Georgia to move to New York City to live with him and paint full-time. He also convinced Georgia to marry him. During this time together, Alfred was obsessed with taking pictures of Georgia. During the long winters in New York City, Georgia began painting very large flowers and cityscapes using only oils. Her first large-scale flower painting was called Petunia. These large flower paintings are still today some of her most famous art. Her painting, Calla Lily, sold for $25,000 in 1928. The sale of this particular painting brought fame to Georgia O'Keeffe. She also began painting cityscapes of New York City from her apartment, which had a wonderful view. In 1929, Georgia traveled to Taos, New Mexico with her friend Beck Strand. She was looking for a new inspiration for her paintings. She immediately fell in love with the landscape of New Mexico and would return there every summer until 1946, when her husband Alfred died. After that, she moved there permanently. Georgia said of New Mexico, "That was mine, that was my country." By herself, she explored the New Mexico countryside in a Model A car. She has said that sometimes it would get so hot while she was working that she would climb under the car and stay there until the weather cooled. She collected rocks and animal bones and made these the subject of her paintings. She said, "Because there were no flowers, I began picking up bones. I wanted to bring something home to work on. The bones don't symbolize death to me. They are shapes that I enjoy." She also painted many New Mexico landscapes. In 1936, she painted one of her most famous paintings called Summer Days. In 1972, Georgia lost her central vision of her eyesight due to macular degeneration. At this time, she stopped painting in oils but continued to work in charcoals and watercolors. In 1973, she hired an assistant named Juan Hamilton, who was a local potter. He became her closest friend and business manager. He taught her to work with clay and helped her make clay pots and a group of watercolor paintings. Georgia continued to produce art until 1984, when she was 96 years old. Georgia O'Keeffe died on March 6, 1986, at the age of 98. According to her wishes, she was cremated and her ashes were spread across the New Mexico desert that she called the Faraway. Georgia O'Keeffe was an amazing part of history in the 1900s. She introduced America to her type of art and showed America that females could be great artists too. On January 10, 1977, President Ford gave O'Keeffe the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest award given to American citizens. In 1985, she was also awarded the National Medal of Arts by President Reagan. It might be said that her greatest achievement came after her death. In 1997, the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum and Research Center opened in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Through its collections and showcases, the museum's goal is to show Georgia's legacy and to further the study of art. The Research Center is set up to promote research in art history, architectural history and design, literature, music, and photography.